How do solar panels like their eggs? Sunny side up. Let's get down to it. Duck curves. What are they, and why do you need to know about them? So whether you're a homeowner, a student, a building owner, a business owner, policymaker, or just looking to learn more about the energy sector, so what is the duck curve? It's a graph shaped like a duck. That's basically all it is. But what is it a graph of? It's a graph of the utility grid in California. So if you take a look at this graph, each line is a different year. And you'll notice you'll start from 2012 and it goes up to 2020. And it is the energy demand throughout the day on average for each year on the power grid in California. And so what is changing in the middle of the day for California? Well, more people during this time were installing solar panels. So during the middle of the day, there was less energy demand on the grid because more and more people were getting their energy production from the solar panels that they were putting on their roof. Whether it was residential or commercial, it doesn't really matter. There was more solar panels present, and so the utility providers didn't need to provide as much energy during the grid. So initially, this all seemed like a really good idea, and utility providers and people in the energy sector did see this coming. This duck curve has been around for a while, and people have been aware of this. It's not some new thing that everyone just realized what was happening. But this is a problem because the power grid and the facility people managing the power that you get to your buildings, home, office, what have you, they're not able to balance their power generation as easily as they were as if the line was flat. So why is this bad? Not only is the belly of the duck getting deeper, but also take notice that the neck of the duck is also getting steeper. And so for power generation facilities, power plants, it's getting harder for them to provide this peak power during this short period of time than it would otherwise be to provide consistent power throughout the day. So what does this have to do with you? Well, this is one of the reasons why energy prices are increasing, and particularly during certain times of the day, because the power generators, the power plants, are working harder and they have higher demand. So simple, if you think of just simple supply and demand, during this time, they have higher demand, and so prices are increasing. This not only affects what you're being charged for energy, but how you're being charged too. So in another video, we talked about different types of utility rates. The most common, if it isn't already in some parts of the country, common utility rate is the TOU rate, or time of use rate. And basically what that utility rate means is during different times of the day, you're being charged different amounts. Different dollars per kWh, or different dollars per energy that you're using, and different dollars per power that you're using, kW. And so for a long time, the peak period, or the most expensive time of the day, was 12 to 6. 12 noon to 6 p.m. However, that's now shifting from 4 to 9, or 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., and that's that neck of the duck that you see in that graph. And simply put, this is why. We know that the duck curve isn't the only variable determining the prices of energy, but a lot of factors consider how much we spend on energy. For example, politics and world events affect the cost of energy, because that changes where where we get our energy from in terms of like fossil fuels, natural gas, and gasoline and stuff like that, crude oil shipped across country to country. But also the pandemic is also changing the way that we use and how we get energy. Not as many people are going into the office anymore. More people are staying home. And so how the energy is being distributed from power plants to distribution lines, and then ultimately to your home or office, and then also where the energy is coming from. Power plants are upgrading and changing the way that they're generating energy in order to try to be more sustainable and reduce their carbon emissions. We're installing even more solar panels in some parts of the country, also wind farms, nuclear energy, and even geothermal. So what does this mean for you? Does this mean that you shouldn't install solar panels, or do you feel like there's nothing you can do and that you're helpless? Well, not exactly. If you do have a home and you have solar, consider batteries. Energy storage is what we are looking at now in order to shift the duck curve to make it more flat. And you can see this change on a smaller scale on one single building, from installing solar panels versus having solar panels with energy storage. If you are over generating in the middle of the day, you can then use that power during that 4 to 9 period and reduce your peak demand and peak energy usage during that time to create a profile that looks a little bit more flat. And that's the same thing that the grid is trying to do. So if you have the ability, there are incentives and rebates out there now. Check out the website Desire, and it's spelled DSIRE. And that's a great website to just go to see what incentives and rebates are out there where you live across the US. Also vote. Take note of what your policymakers are doing where you live. Are they making it easier or harder for you to have more energy independence? And that's exactly what that is. If you want to install solar and batteries on your home, you will also be more energy independent from the grid. You are producing and you are generating and storing your own energy, and you can use it when you want. But taking note of what's on the ballot next is really better for all of us in the long run. So what happens if we don't pay attention to the duck curve and how we use energy? Well, first of all, we will know that energy prices will continue to increase. If we continue to rely on traditional energy sources, we will continue to emit a great amount of carbon emissions. Listen, I don't want to put out the impression that I am completely against fossil fuels altogether. I think our future is a mixture of lots of different energy sources. I don't think solar panels are the answer, neither wind or geothermal or natural gas or diesel. I think we will have some kind of mixture in the future, but right now there is a lot of change. And so everyone at different levels are trying to make things an itty bit better. So if we don't pay attention to the duck curve, we could also see an unstable power grid and see more blackouts and brownouts and high energy prices, and just wouldn't be good for anyone. And so while this duck curve is the grid in California, we are seeing it happen across the country as more and more buildings are installing solar. So it's not just a California problem, if you didn't get that already from the rest of the way I was talking about in this video, but it's a worldwide problem, because if we continue to install solar panels, then this is the type of effect that we'll see. So those solar panels are a great solution. We need lots of other solutions and technologies to go along with them. So where do you start? First, I highly recommend checking out this video on the energy pyramid. This shows you the prioritization of energy improvements in a building, no matter what it is, from insulation and reducing energy waste in a building, all the way up to sizing solar panels and energy storage and energy management. So check that out first, and then consider adding storage if you already have solar panels on your building. If you thought this was useful, go sign up for my newsletter and get more tips, tricks, tools, and other resources for energy, sustainability, and healthy spaces. And I'll leave you guys with one more joke. What do you call a farting solar panel? A gas generator.